The Benny Hill Show was a beloved British comedy series that aired for several decades in various iterations. In addition to titular comedian Benny Hill, the series also featured a troupe of beautiful dancers known as Hill's Angels. The troupe debuted during the series' later years, and its members often doubled as comedic performers during the show's sketches. Some of these performers went on to greater careers in the industry. Join Factsverse as we take a look at Hill's Angels from The Benny Hill Show, then and now. Jane Leeves. Although Jane Leeves wasn't the member of Hill's Angels who performed the most, she is the former member that went on to have the most outside success. In fact, most audience members will likely recognize Jane Leeves better as Daphne Moon from Frasier. Still, Jane has always been a talented dancer in addition to being a talented actress, and she put both those skills to work as a member of Hill's Angels for a time in her early career. Jane was born in England in 1961 and studied dance at an early age. She worked a little bit as a model while studying at the Bush Davies School of Dance. Sadly, she received an ankle injury during her studies that prevented her from pursuing a career as a professional ballerina. Looking for other work in the industry, she auditioned to become a member of Hill's Angels on The Benny Hill Show. She ended up becoming one of the dance troupe's members that lent her acting skills as well, performing in sketches in addition to dancing with the troupe. At the height of Frasier's success, Jane was the highest-paid British actress in the entirety of American entertainment. Sue Upton. Sue Upton was the Hill's Angels member who made the most appearances on the series. She was the leader of the Hill's Angels and was the reason the dance troupe was formed. She was born in England in 1954. She studied dance and was qualified as a dancing teacher by the age of 16. From there, she pursued a career as a dancer, becoming quite successful. Sue was brought on to the Benny Hill Show in 1977. She used her connections to help Benny Hill find other dancers to fill out the Hill's Angels. She became the coach and leader of the dance troupe, but was also a reliable comedic performer. Sue could often be found performing as Benny Hill's wife or girlfriend and was memorably skilled at playing an elderly woman. Some of her most memorable characters were Grandma Wondergran and Stan Laurel to Benny Hill's Oliver Hardy. Sue Upton was also a personal friend of Benny Hill's, as the two developed a close relationship during their time on the show. Benny considered Sue and her kids to be like a second family to him, and Sue's kids even performed in some of the series' later episodes as Hill's Little Angels. Sue took a reduced part in the series in later years so she could spend time with her family, but has always been happy to take a moment to reminisce positively about her time on the show. She retired from show business after Benny Hill's death in 1992 and currently lives in London. Louise English. Louise English is the former Hill's Angels member who made the second most appearances. Sue Upton and Louise became great friends over the course of working together, and Sue even named her daughter Louise. Louise came on to the Benny Hill Show in 1978, a year after Sue. She didn't leave the series until 1986. Louise was born in 1961, and her mother was a dancer named Elizabeth English. As a member of a dance troupe called Evening Stars, Elizabeth had performed alongside Benny Hill during some of the earliest days of his career. Louise started dancing when she was only 2, studying both classical ballet and modern dance. After working for years on the stage, she got her role on The Benny Hill Show. Louise started out as a member of Hill's Angels, but eventually became a full-blown comedic performer alongside Sue Upton. As he did with Sue, Benny developed a personal relationship with Louise and considered her a great friend. Louise continued working in TV after Benny's death, though she currently does most of her work on stage. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to Factsverse for more. And stick around for more about the Hill's Angels. Lorraine Doyle. Lorraine Doyle was born in 1958 and worked with Sue Upton before her time on The Benny Hill Show. She started performing on the show in 1977, the same year as Sue. She also performed in a few of the show's sketches. After her initial time on the series, Lorraine acted in a few films, including Indiana Jones and The Temple of Doom. After taking a break from The Benny Hill Show during the early 80s, Lorraine came back and was given an increased role after the 1986 departure of Louise English. At this point, she began acting in more and more sketches, often taking on the role of Benny Hill's wife or girlfriend. Towards the end of the show, Lorraine got married and had 2 daughters. In 1993, a year after Benny Hill's death, she officially retired from show business to raise her children. She and her husband opened up a jewelry store in London in 1998, though it closed after her husband's death in 2004. Abigail Higgins. Abigail Higgins started out as a member of Hill's Angels on The Benny Hill Show, but soon into her tenure found herself unable to dance. After years of performing complicated routines, Abigail's body could no longer take it. Nice guy as he was, Benny Hill decided to allow Abigail to stay on the series as a comedic performer for the time being, though she eventually called it quits on show business and focused on making pottery. She currently resides in England, selling her ceramics. Samantha Spencer-Lane. Samantha Spencer-Lane became a member of Hill's Angels. Currently, she does freelance choreography work on her own time, and she's based out of London. Alison Bell. Alison Bell was born in England in 1960. She first appeared on the show in 1979, having apparently been hired onto the series after interviewing for the position over lunch and a glass of wine. Being the tallest member at 5'10", Alison's height also allowed her to perform roles in some of the show's comedic sketches that wouldn't have been appropriate for other female performers. One such role was a female version of the comic book character, the Hulk. Alison performed in a good deal of sketches during her time there, in addition to performing dances with the troupe. After her time on the show ended, Alison could be seen on several other popular British TV series. In 2006, The Benny Hill Show was given a complete and unedited release on DVD. Previous releases had all eschewed or condensed material, but this release included every episode as it originally aired. To commemorate the occasion, numerous featurettes were filmed to be included on the box set, and one such featurette revolved around Hill's Angels. Although Benny had been deceased for well over a decade, the majority of the former members are still alive today, and many of them were happy to lend their time to filming the featurette. The featurette was called I Was a Hill's Angel and featured interviews from many of the beloved troupe's former members. Alison Bell was one of the many former members to show up, as did Sue Upton. All the former members of Hill's Angels have always reminisced positively about their time on the show, and have reminisced positively about Benny Hill himself. Now it's time to hear from you. Did you know that many members of Hill's Angels from The Benny Hill Show are still practicing dance to this day? Let us know in the comments section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to Factsverse if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.